Hello, everybody. David Shuster here. U.S. President Donald Trump is angry, emotional, and lashing out. Don't take my word for it. Here's Trump's own Commerce Secretary.
The president was totally annoyed that the Europeans did this, and so you're going to hear back from someone who emotionally cares about America. You make him unhappy, he responds unhappy. He wants these countries to respect him.
Donald Trump wants respect, and when he imposes tariffs on U.S. allies and they hit back with retaliatory tariffs, Trump views that as disrespectful and a personal insult. So Trump becomes even more unhinged. Quote, "The European Union, one of the most hostile and abusive taxing and tariffing authorities in the world, which was formed for the sole purpose of taking advantage of the United States." Oh, come on. The U.S. will shortly place a 200% tariff on all wines, champagnes, and alcoholic products coming out of France and other EU-represented countries.
They don't take our agriculture, we take their agriculture. It's like a one-way street with them. The European Union is very, very nasty. They treat us very badly. China obviously treats us very badly. Almost everybody does.
Everybody treats the United States and Donald Trump very badly. In other words, on top of Trump being delusional, he also has paranoia. Keep in mind, Canada is America's biggest trading partner and closest ally. Canada has pledged to spend more on border security and negotiate a new trade deal. Never mind, it was Trump who negotiated the last one. Still, Donald Trump keeps adding tariffs to Canada. Why? The conservative Wall Street Journal explained it this way.
Trump behaves as if his manhood is implicated because a foreign nation won't take his nasty border taxes lying down. We said from the beginning that this North American trade war is the dumbest in history, and we were being kind.
The Wall Street Journal is owned by conservative Rupert Murdoch. And even though in the Oval Office a few weeks ago, Trump and Murdoch were all smiles, now Trump is throwing an unhinged temper tantrum. Quote, "The globalist Wall Street Journal has no idea what they are doing or saying. They are owned by the polluted thinking of the European Union, which was formed for the primary purpose of screwing the United States of America." There it is again. The EU is out to get the United States and Trump. And given the language, screwing, well, Freud would have a field day psychoanalyzing Donald Trump. We know he likes screwing others, but Trump seems terrified of being screwed himself. The fact is, the Trump trade war and recession are screwing, to use Trump's words, U.S. consumer confidence, and it's widespread. Headline, "Consumer angst is striking all income levels. Signs of weakness are showing up in spending on everything from basics to luxuries." Analysts say consumer sentiment accounts for about 70% of all U.S. economic activity. When consumer confidence rises, the economy heats up. When consumers lose confidence, the economy cools off. The Trump economy and Trump recession may be increasingly frigid thanks to Donald Trump's own delusions. They are getting more noticeable to many Americans.
I invaded Los Angeles and we opened up the water. And the water is now flowing down. They have so much water, they don't know what to do. They were sending it out to the Pacific. I invaded Los Angeles.
No, there was no invasion of U.S. troops in California. Trump did order 2 California reservoirs to be drained, but none of that water made it anywhere near the wildfires. Perhaps Trump's invasion delusions are related to something else on his mind. Headline, "Trump White House has asked U.S. military to develop options for the Panama Canal, officials say. Potential plans range from partnering more closely with Panamanian security forces to a less likely option of U.S. troops seizing the canal by force," U.S. officials told NBC News.
We fight the Panamanian Defense Forces to take this. And again, it's like, here's the reason, by the way, that Donald Trump threatens our allies and not people that really deserve threats is because he's small, he's scared, he's a coward. And you can threaten your friends because you know you're not going to start a war over it, and it makes you look really tough. If you tweet in all caps and then you threaten Panama, it makes you look like you're ready to go to war and tough.
And Trump can tell himself he is tough because he already invaded California, or something like that. The bizarro Trump thought processes, the bullying of allies, and the Trump demand for total respect and gratitude, even when Trump is behaving like a jerk himself, has sparked outrage across the United States. Republican congressional town halls have become especially tense. The latest in North Carolina involved confrontations over the economy, Elon Musk, and cuts to government agencies, including the Veterans Affairs Agency.
Attendees sounded off
Why is a non-elected person running our government?
and shouted down GOP Congressman Chuck Edwards, who represents Asheville, a blue city in an otherwise red district.
You're lying! I'm a veteran! You don't give a about me!
At least one man was hauled out by police.
You don't get to take away our rights! You don't get to take our health care! Get off of it! You don't get to do this! Come on, you guys!
Why are people losing their jobs at record numbers?
Crowds surrounded Edwards as he left.
In Washington, D.C., at the Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts, Vice President J.D. Vance and his wife arrived to take in a classical music concert. The audience was not happy to see the Vance entourage. It is Donald Trump, though, not his vice president or Trump's Republican enablers in Congress, who is the focus now of most of the anger and scorn. The president's tariffs and budget cuts, whether driven by policy or by Trump's feelings being hurt, are literally tanking the U.S. economy. U.S. stocks are down. Analysts say the U.S. is headed for a recession, and consumer confidence is plummeting. It is a stark contrast with Donald Trump's campaign promises.
When I win the election, we will immediately begin a brand new Trump economic boom. It'll be a boom. We're going to turn this country around so fast.
Now, the fastest thing Trump is turning around is tariffs. And even Donald Trump's cabinet members say Trump is most concerned about his own ego being stroked, and that Trump's eruptions are the result of the president feeling disrespected. The American public's feelings and the lack of Trump respect towards U.S. citizens, as well as citizens of Canada and Europe, well, that all seems irrelevant to Donald Trump. And along the way, Donald Trump has turned the United States into a global laughingstock and a nation under him that cannot be trusted. It all means the Trump presidency is backfiring, and even some of Trump's strongest supporters in politics and conservative media are seeing the president's shallowness and America's decline. By the way, Trump White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt is now flailing amidst criticism from Fox News.
The American Automotive Policy Council has put out a statement sort of pushing back on this narrative.
Watch how much Leavitt starts blinking, a sign of anxiety.
They said revoking the exemption for Canada and Mexico and extending tariffs to auto parts with steel and aluminum will add significant costs for automakers, suppliers, and consumers. You know, steel and aluminum tariffs obviously could have big impact. Is it time for the president to do an Oval Office address maybe and try to explain to people that it might be bad for a little while, but it is in fact worth it?
I think the president has been incredibly clear, Jackie, on where he stands and what he envisions for the future of America.
Are you expecting a recession this year?
I hate to predict things like that.
So much for clarity. Check out that video at the link below. It generated a lot of comments on YouTube. One of the most popular from Mimi, who wrote, "I thought she, Leavitt, was supposed to be tough, but then she starts complaining like a snowflake when she's fact-checked and proven wrong." Indeed. I look forward to reading your comments about Leavitt's boss, Donald Trump, melting down and feeling disrespected as his trade war causes the economy to implode. I'm David Shuster. Thanks for joining us.